Welcome back to LegitStreetCars. My name is Alex, and in today's video, we're going to determine whether the engine in my cheap C63 AMG is good or if it's bad. Because if you guys remember from the reveal video, I was sold this car for about a $6,000 or $7,000 discount because the seller thought that the engine needed a major repair that would cost him thousands of dollars to fix. So in today's video, we're going to take apart some of the engine, we're going to look inside of it, and we're going to perform a really cool electronic compression test. So we're not going to be using a compression gauge, we're not going to be pulling out any spark plugs. I'll even have the hood closed for this test. I think you guys are really going to like it. I'm also going to use this video to kick off some pre-purchase inspection content that I've wanted to bring you guys for a while. So in my future videos, I'm going to sprinkle in some tips and tricks on what to look out for when buying a used car. And in today's video, we're just going to kick this right off with one of the most important things that I do before I even leave the house to check out a used car. And this step could save you guys thousands of dollars and a lot of headache by not buying a total lemon car. So before I would ever check out a used car, I would always run a Carfax, and this is because I wanted to make sure it didn't have a salvage or rebuilt title. The problem with Carfax and other VIN checking sites is that they're kind of expensive. An individual Carfax is like $40, and they don't show you any pictures of the damage if the car was in an accident. So now what I do is I run the VIN through a site called autoauctions.io, and my good buddy Sam Crack here on YouTube turned me onto this site, and it is a total game changer. So what autoauctions.io does is it searches all of the major auction houses and it shows you the listing for the VIN number that you typed in, or you can do a general search for other cars if you're looking to buy one at an auction. This is an excellent tool for us that buy cars private party and at dealers because most of the cars that have a branded title at some point were ran through an auction. And something that's important to note is that not all cars that were damaged and sold at auction end up with a branded title. So if you have a clean title car, it may have been in a wreck that you want to know about before you buy it. So what's really cool about this site is it'll show you all the pictures of the damage, and it'll show you the car if it was fixed up and resold at auction again. So check this out. It's kind of scary, but this can save you big time. Okay, let's kick this off with another C63 AMG. This car was in a pretty decent accident. The front end was smashed, the back end was hit, airbags deployed, and it's missing some really expensive headlights. This car just sold at an auction with a clean title. So you could find this car for sale at a dealer or privately, and it would be sold to you with a clean title and command clean title money. So if you run a Carfax and it just lists front end accident or rear end accident but a clean title, you can use this site to look a lot further into it. This site also gives you all the auction history, so you can follow a car's history that you want to buy or even check on a car that you already own. This Hellcat was really wrecked 3 years ago and sold for $21,700. It has really bad frame damage, the upper core support is basically gone, airbags deployed, and it looks really, really bad. Then we see it was sold a year later as a hail damage car, which is kind of weird, but it sells for almost 20 grand more. Then it shows up again at the auction with the hail damage fix and sells for $41,000. So you get all the pictures, you get the descriptions, and you get all of the prices. Here's another scary one for us who like to buy clean title cars. This one is currently for sale, so you can use this site to find auction cars you want to buy and to do research on a particular model you want to buy to get in tuned with what they're selling for. And this one right now is at $4,500, but it'll sell to someone again with a clean title. This is an accident that I'd want to know the details on if I was going to pay clean title money for this car. Sometimes just reading on a Carfax that a car was hit in the front or the rear or whatever downplays the gravity of the situation, and considering how cheap it is to use this site, it's a no-brainer. So what's great is you don't pay anything for this up front, so you can run a VIN number and it'll tell you if it's going to give you a report. If there's no report, you're done. You don't pay anything. If there's a report, they're super affordable. They range from $4 to $10 for individual reports. But if you guys want an even better deal, for $19.99, you get 50 reports per month. And if you use my link down below, you're gonna get an even more legit deal because you're gonna get 25 more reports. So 20 bucks for 75 reports per month. Or if you just want a one-time fee, it's $40, and that normally gets you only 75 reports, but with my legit deal, you're gonna get 100 reports. So 40 bucks for one Carfax, or 40 bucks for 100 reports with pictures and everything. It's just a very affordable site, and I hope you guys use it, and I hope you guys save a lot of money and headache by using this site. So with that being said, we're gonna head over to the interior of the C63 where my computer is set up, and we're gonna be performing an electronic or dynamic compression test. All right, so the first step of the electronic compression test is you have to learn German. So I'll leave some links down below to Rosetta Stone so you guys can first learn German. I'm just kidding. Guys, this is the factory star diagnosis system. You guys have asked me about this many times, and I actually finally bought one. I had never had one of these at home, to be honest with you. I just had a lot of dealership connections and never really needed it. But I bought my own. I bought this one used from a friend of mine for $200, including this 1975 IBM laptop. So this is the multiplexer for the system, and then it's connected down there to the OBD2 ports. And this is the factory software. Now, this is a very, very old software here. This just barely does the 204 chassis, and it's super slow, but I am shopping around for a newer version of this. And if you guys know of a good deal or know of a good company or brand that sells these aftermarket, like on eBay or whatever, please let me know. Email me at legitstreetcars@gmail.com, and then I'm gonna start making videos showing you guys how to use this system. I need a little refresher course myself, but let me show you guys the electronic compression test. We're gonna skip past, this is the only part that's German, by the way. So we're gonna skip past that. And this is something, if you're getting a pre-purchase inspection done at a dealership or by a reputable European repair shop, if they have a star diagnosis system, they should definitely be doing this compression test, because it's very, very easy, and it can tell you without taking anything apart whether or not your engine has the proper compression. All right, so here's the initial and kind of like the main page that you're gonna get into when you're using this software on your Mercedes. A quick test, the first one that's highlighted will scan every single control module, and with my super old computer, this takes like, I think about 2 minutes, but what we're gonna do, we're gonna go right to control units. Okay, then we're gonna go to drive, and we're gonna go to ME 9.7, and we're gonna say yes, that we've read all sorts of safety stuff that we definitely did not read. Then we're just gonna go down to complete list of guided tests, and there's a bunch of them. So here are all the tests that you can perform. Now, some of these will require some other factory tools, so you're not gonna be able to do all of these, but if you look down here, we have compression test. Okay, so these are the prerequisites for the test. So as you can see, my coolant temperature is not up to par, so I will have to run this engine a little bit, even though we have that bad power steering pump, but I have to get it above 122 degrees Fahrenheit. And then what this does is it measures the RPM difference between each cylinder's compression stroke. So a weaker, lower compression cylinder would actually have a faster stroke, and that would indicate an issue, and it'll show up on this compression test. So let me run this engine for a little bit, and then I'll be behind the wheel because I have to like floor the accelerator, hit the brake, and then start the end. It's crazy, but I'll show you here in a minute. Okay, I ran the engine for a little bit. We're at 135 degrees. So let's go to F2. All right, so to start this test, I have to hold down the brake pedal and the accelerator pedal all the way, and then crank the engine. So this is not gonna allow it to start. It's gonna disable the fuel system and whatnot. So I gotta go hop over to the driver's seat, but I'll set up a camera on here so you can see exactly what it does. All right, I'm hitting the brake, holding down the accelerator pedal, F3, and this should take about 6 seconds. Almost there, and we keep on getting this. No actual values available for graphic representation. Repeat the test. I've done this like 5 times. I've rebooted the computer. Nothing is working today with this super old school IBM, but luckily this test worked a couple nights ago and I saved a screenshot. So here it is. Here are the electronic compression test results from the C63, and as you can tell, it has passed with flying colors, only detecting a 12 RPM difference between cylinders, and it could go all the way up to 28 48 RPMs and still be considered normal according to Mercedes-Benz. Now, an electronic compression test isn't the only test you can perform to determine if your engine is good or bad, but according to Mercedes-Benz, it's good enough for compression, and had it failed this test, it would have instructed us to perform a manual cylinder leakage test. But because my car didn't have a check engine light on or it wasn't misfiring, it's safe to assume that the compression of the C63 engine is A-OK. Now, I wanted to mention that other makes and models do have this test available in the factory software or in high-end scanners. So if you're getting a professional pre-purchase inspection performed, just ask. Now, if your car isn't blowing out smoke from the tailpipes or misfiring, it's probably going to pass this test, but you'll sleep easy at night knowing that the compression in the engine of the new car you just bought is good to go. So next up for us, we're taking the valve covers off because we're going to inspect the camshafts and the lifters. If you guys saw my M156 factory defect video, you know that these cams and these lifters could be worn out, and we don't want to beat on this engine with worn out and bad camshafts. Otherwise, we could cause some serious issues. So let's rip the valve covers off and pull the plugs and hope that everything is shiny and clean.
The magical world which fills the atmosphere of Formula One racing moves from the posh hotels to the pits at the racetrack.
You've got to be smart, and you've got to be fast.
All right, guys, here we go. Moment of truth, at least on this bank. Let's take a look at these cam lobes. And let me see here. Sorry, this is my first time looking at this right now. Yeah, so far so good. I mean, I'm just taking a very preliminary look. Let me know in the comment section if you guys see anything. But yeah, I think these are looking pretty good. Here's a good shot of one right here. So here, I'll put up on the screen. This is what a worn out cam lobe on one of these engines looks like. And this one doesn't look anything like that. Now remember, in the factory defect video, I told you that the intake camshaft will wear out before the exhaust, and that's because the oil kind of puddles up down there and protects those lobes a little bit better. So we can kind of concentrate up top and take a look at these. Obviously, it'd be ideal to spin the motor around, but I think we can get a pretty good idea right here with these two lobes. They are looking really shiny, really nice. And then, let's see. So this supposedly had the head bolts done at the dealership. So let's see if it's got the new style. Yep. Look right in here. See the head of that bolt? I'll put up a picture of the old versus the new. So you can see that is the updated head bolt. So I know this is a little bit of work right here, but if you were super serious about maybe a really expensive car with an M156 or an M159, if the owner or the shop would allow you to pop off the valve covers, you could do a super thorough inspection, although most people won't let you do that. But that's how you can tell for sure if you have the updated head bolts. And then basically you're just looking at cam wear. So you can see down here, these are looking really nice as well. And then it's hard to show on camera, but we can kind of look in here and just kind of take a look at the sides of the lifters, make sure that they're not scoring up. And then also the top of the lifter where the valve contacts isn't all indented in and worn out. So I'll take a really thorough look at these right now with my flashlight, but I think so far so good. So let's go ahead and take off the other side and hope that it looks just as good as this right here. Oh, and also these are the spark plugs that I pulled out, and they look really nice, really consistent, really nice. They don't look burned up. They don't look fouled out. So far, I think this bank is in pretty good shape. Getting the driver's side valve cover off was kind of a beast because the bolts on the bottom are kind of buried. They're crammed right up against the engine compartment, but it could also be because our engine is probably sitting down a little bit with the collapsed engine mounts. But either way, I put together a little crazy contraption like this and I was able to get them out without stripping them. So let's take a look at our camshaft lobes and anything else that we can see in here. And we got a couple right here. They're right in our face, and they're looking pretty good. So we're looking for pitting, we're looking for flat spots. There's gonna be some wear indication, some discoloration on cams. That's normal. I mean, it's a 68,000 mile engine, so it's not brand new by any means. But what I did here, I set up my huge ratchet. It's a 27 mil right on the harmonic balancer bolt. So we can kind of turn this engine around and get a good look at all of our cam lobes. So I did this on the other side, and everything looks really nice. So here are a couple right in our face. And yeah, they are looking really nice and shiny, no pitting, no flat spots. I gotta say, so far, I think we have a really good M156 engine. And something else that I did here is I drained all the oil. I changed the oil when I first bought this car, and I saved the last little bit out of the oil pan. I laid this out on a white piece of paper, some little samples of it, just to inspect for any shiny metal particles. And then I also cut open the cartridge filter as well. And I didn't find any kind of metal shavings, bearing material, anything like that. But I do plan on sending a sample out to Blackstone Laboratories. They do engine oil analysis and will tell you if there's any microscopic or any tiny little particles of metal and kind of give you a grade of the condition of your engine. So I'll be doing that and I'll update you guys in a future video. But so far, I think this engine is A-okay, and we can start moving on to performance modifications like the long tube headers from Victory Road Performance. So that'll be our first big performance mod. But before we do that, we do have some normal work to do. We got to replace that really bad power steering pump in the AC line, put this all back together. I'll probably clean it up, and then the headers and the engine mounts are going in. That's enough to put my mind at ease and deem my 156 engine fit for duty and ready for modification. So if you remember in the reveal video, the seller thought that the head bolts had failed and that the head gaskets were leaking because he had a coolant light coming on. And we found out in the last episode that it was just a broken thermostat housing. So that's already fixed. We haven't lost any coolant since then. So I think that is kind of put to rest, especially since we can now 100% verify that it does have the updated head bolts, which I had found out that it did because I called the Mercedes dealer and they told me the head bolts, the gaskets, and the lifters were all replaced about 40,000 miles ago at the dealership under warranty. So now that we've kind of ruled out that there's any issues with the camshafts, we've ruled out any compression issues, I mean, that's about it. I'll send the oil out. I think it's gonna come back just fine. But as far as I'm concerned, we're gonna start beating on this engine. But first, we gotta replace that power steering pump, the air conditioning line, the motor mounts, a few other things. We're gonna de-rice this thing, do some tires, and then we're getting right into those headers. So with that being said, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope you really learned something. So make sure to check out autoauctions.io in the video description box. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Share the video. I think I always say that. And have a great day. I'll see you all in the next video.